Got this phone off so we don't get any dealing with too many things. Good evening. I'd like to call the, what is this, August 7th, 2024 regular meeting of the Nevada City Public Arts Commission to order. And at this time, I would like to ask Vice Mayor Klein to come up and read our land recognition.
Thanks for this opportunity. We acknowledge that the Nisenan people are still here among us today, though nearly invisible. We understand that we are on Nisenan land that was never ceded, and the original tribal families have yet to recover from the near genocide of their people. As a resident or visitor in Nisenan land, we support the Nevada City Rancheria Nisenan tribe in efforts to stabilize their people, as well as their campaign to restore federal recognition.
Thank you. And if we could stand, please. Mayor Peterson will lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And thank you very much for helping us out with this. Could I ask Madam Clerk to call the roll, please?
Yes. Chair Wilcox Barnes.
Present.
Vice Chair Negrete.
Here.
Commissioner Tudor.
Yeah.
Commissioner Clark.
Here.
Commissioner Schwartz.
Here.
Commissioner Harney.
Here.
And absent for Commissioner Arianes.
Thank you. And at this time, I would like to ask our city manager, Sean Grayson, we have a presentation that will be made tonight, so he'll be explaining that, right?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. This, I believe, came from you, actually. We're going to show a video that came from one of our summer camps at Pioneer Park. It's a video production camp. It's not so much about what the video is or isn't. There's about a dozen of them for the students that went through there, but more about the thought that there are a myriad of, as you all know, art opportunities in our community that are happening. And this commission is new, but we would love for you to be engaged in as much of that space as you would like to be. And that's another opportunity coming into next summer. If you just want to review the camps we have, if you want to recommend camps, if you wanted to, have the commission, host a 4-hour, art session out there at Seaman's Lodge, on behalf of the city, kind of like we've talked about before, all options are out there. This happens to be a youth group doing video production, but they also have to, act, direct, star, write, do the whole gamut of it. So I think we're doing Chasing Blueberry, which is one of the videos that we'll show you, and then share a little bit more. Blueberry Chase, not Chasing Blueberry.
Wow.
Click accept all at the bottom. And Kyle, can you turn up the audio? Kyle's the amazing guy in the back room.
I love this.
Can you get audio through the Zoom? Turn the speakers up on our laptop.
Turn the speakers up on your laptop. We gotta restart it
Okay.
and full screen it.
Do you see? Oh, I see it. I see it.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go back here.
There we go.
Okay.
Hey. Movie time. Crank it.
My blueberries! They're gone! Please! Somebody stole my blueberries! I am police here. How may I help you? Somebody stole my blueberries! Oh, what did they look like? I guess those brothers right there. Well, what did the blueberries look like? They're in a blue bag. I'll make sure to, I'll beat them up for you. They're compass and competent. I'm gonna find those blueberries myself. Nah, that doesn't mean anything. Let's get going. That's familiar. Look, you remember that. You did not. What just happened? So what were we talking about? Oh,
Yay. Local youth. So about half of our summer camps are related or art adjacent. So wrapping up this week with Lego Camp out at Siemens Lodge, and some of that's STEM related, but a lot of it's art. You know, the things that people make with Legos are pretty amazing. So we'll have Don Zadanis, our Parks and Rec manager, come back to you probably in your January meeting with what we're planning for next year's summer camps, and see if you have any thoughts, input, ideas. And, you know, today was the first day of the fair, so it means, you know, kids are only out of school for one more week, but yeah, so.
Were they well attended?
Yeah, the camps are always full.
Wow.
So Dawn at our front desk and Dawn scheduled those, and yeah, there was like, she was on the phone with somebody that was like, there was a vacancy for the Lego camp, but only for the day part, not for the afternoon part, and there was only one vacancy, and the waiting list was like 20 people or something.
Wow.
So, but there's chess, there's, you know, there's all
Sure,
kinds of
no
different, you know, camps for coding, computer coding, and just different opportunities, so, yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much for putting that on the agenda, and I just wanted everybody to be aware of the amazing, talented youth we have in our community, and also the programs that we have that are around. And there are a number of them. I just told Sean, pick the one that was your favorite, because I had a number of them that I really like, so you can get a list of them and look at them if you're interested. So, thank you.
Purple's my favorite color, so.
Yeah, that's all. Okay. So our next item on the agenda is, let's see, Lisa, I believe, you will introduce this next item. Thank you.
Welcome, Jonas.
Hey, Jonas.
Welcome.
So I wanted to give an update on the Don't Be Afraid of the Dark photography contest. We had 76 submissions here for our contest on the western side of the county. We allowed 3 submissions per person, so 34 people participated. We had multiple types of photos. We were really lucky to have the Aurora show its colors during the contest, so we had many of those types of photos, photos of the Milky Way, shots in neighborhoods, lights over Nevada City, you know, shots up in the backcountry, and various others. There were award winners by category in professional, amateur, youth, and then also the People's Choice Award. Thank you for those of you that voted. And then we culminated with an awards event last week at the Root Center. And now the winners are on display at the Root Center. It's right in the lobby on your way into the Community Development Department office on your right-hand side. So check it out. They'll be up until September 18th. I wanted to give a special shout out to Heather Heckler of the Nevada County Arts Council. They ended up stepping in and helping us in some really big ways. They hosted our submissions, created a webpage for that. They came up with contest rules, and then they also guided the judging process, created the exhibition, and led the awards event. So thank you, Heather. You know how much we appreciate you. So I just wanted to go through and show you the results, which are quite fabulous. We'll start with the award winners.
I don't remember seeing that one.
So this is first place in the professional category, Allison Kalt.
So cool.
She named it Bridging the Cosmos. She was at the event. She made a nice statement, and she accepted her award. This is Dawn Hicks's Foshery Small Island. third place in the professionals was Kial James, and this is over Hirschman Pond.
Wow.
He was also present and made some really nice comments. And he's in full support of Dark Skies and excited. James Lemcool, Grouse Ridge Milky Way,
Wow.
so fabulous.
Wow.
Hoyt's Crossing, Jesse Bradford. Leslie Wells, Milky Way over the Pines. This shot was from Jackson Meadows Reservoir area. This is the youth category. Drew was there to accept his award. He won 2 awards. Connor Pack, he was also present and he spoke. He was, he made some great statements as well. And then Drew for 3rd place.
Cool, cool.
People's Choice Award was also Don Hicks.
Nice.
Yay. Very nice.
And now I'll just run through all of them. In case you didn't look at them when it was time to vote, we can just kind of take a look at them.
What's happening?
I don't know.
Infinite share screen.
Galactic.
Where's the nice music?
Yeah, we wanted to do the music, but
I'll imagine
we're not
it.
that
I'll
sophisticated
imagine it.
yet.
Well, that's cool.
The zipper's not in the same place this year.
God, Sean. So cool. Wow. Wow. Cool. Wow. People were out that night.
Circle Executive Director.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. Huh.
Yeah, so it's a great way to showcase what we have here with our ability to see the night sky, because lots of places don't have that.
So glad I wasn't a judge. Those are fabulous. Thank you.
And a big thank you to Lisa, too. Obviously, Heather did a tremendous amount of work, but this kind of started as related to the city is pursuing a dark skies ordinance with our planning commission and our council. And we were looking to partner with Truckee because they were doing this activity. And I talked to Lisa about it, and then I went to a mayors and managers breakfast which is the mayors of the 2 cities in the town and the county CEO and chair of the board. And we said, hey, we're doing this with Truckee. Everyone else wanted to be on board. And then Lisa got voluntold to basically work with the county in Grass Valley and Truckee to make this happen. And it was pretty awesome, especially for our first go around. So we hope to do it again in the future and make it bigger and better and continue that, don't be afraid of the dark kind of thing. So thank you, Lisa.
I think just as a community member too, it was like really well publicized. Like I saw it all over social media through a bunch of like random channels, and just like it was cool. It had like an edge to it, so people wanted to look at it and participate. And I think that made the partnership and the publicity easier to put out. Great job.
Yeah, great job, Lisa, and thank you for actually highlighting the importance of the night skies and bringing that to our citizens' attention and how important it is to maintain and protect those. So I really appreciate it. Thank you. Any other commissioners or? Okay. And with that, we'll move on. It's time for the public comment. To read this whole thing, I guess.
You don't have to. You can see if there's any public comment in there.
It's time for public comment on items that are not on the council agenda. If there's anyone in the audience who would like to speak to an item that is not on the agenda. Not seeing probably anybody rushing to the podium. I guess we'll consider there's no one that wants to speak to us at this time. So the next item would be our consent agenda, and all items that are listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussions of these items. Before we take action on the consent calendar, we will hear any public comments on consent calendar items only. Do we have any public comments on a consent item? Seeing no hands and no one coming towards the podium. Now I'm looking for a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it. We have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Commissioner Arianes.
Here.
Commissioner Schwartz.
Yes.
Commissioner Harney.
Yeah.
Commissioner Clark. Here. Commissioner Tudor.
Yes.
Vice Chair Negrete.
Yes.
Chair Wilcox Barnes.
Aye.
Motion passes.
So it passed unanimously. Thank you. Our next item of business is the consideration of a presentation from Mayor Gary Peterson on the Year of the Neighborhood and its relation to arts and culture in Nevada City. So I'd like to invite Mayor Peterson to the table. He's here.
Hi.
Hi there.
Hey.
Happy to be here. Happy to see you all. I'm here. I've got a couple reasons why I'm okay.
You ready?
I'm always here.
All right.
I'm always here.
All right.
So a couple reasons. I'm here for a couple reasons. I do want to speak to the Year of the Neighborhood and what we're trying to accomplish, and to speak to the importance of art in that connection, but also to thank you for your leadership and your commitment to community. We only get to have what we have because people step up and do the work as citizens, whether it's an elected or whether it's an appointed commission. But these positions of leadership in our community are really, really critical. It's how we set direction, it's how we make decisions, and how we acknowledge that it takes many voices to get this right. And we are, as a council, I believe, certainly as a mayor, I am deeply committed to the engagement of our community on critical issues. And Winston Churchill is right here. He's wrong on a lot of things, but he's right on this one. And then, it's what we give that makes the difference. I've always often said for myself, it's not what we take, it's what we give that defines us. And you're giving the one thing that you can never get more of, which is time. You can get more money, you get more land, you get more of everything, but you cannot get more time. And so thank you. It matters a lot that we all do this. The other one of my personal idols, I don't really, I could do the physics a little bit, but a great observer of human nature and communities and the large big picture of how we come together as human beings. But service, it is about service. It is about how we serve our communities, how we serve each other. I always like to quote Annie Lamott, the great author, who says that service is the path to enlightenment, but it is a long and dusty road and requires snacks and magazines for that journey. But I was also thinking about that, I was thinking about the part about enlightenment, because one of the things I adore about being in Nevada City is I can talk about the magic of Nevada City, and I can talk about how we do practice enlightenment in our community. And many people come to our community in search of enlightenment, and certainly art is the whole process of art, is enlightenment. So, I've worked in a lot of different cities and a lot of different places, and I can tell you this is the only place I could ever have that conversation. I promise you. But it's about building community. So you're here, you're doing your work. We have the council, we have our many committees. I'll be at the Planning Commission next week giving a version of this. But we weave the fabric of community. We have homes, this is why we're here, but how we live together in those individual units is what we call community. How we come together and agree to share resources, to make decisions about our future, and decide who we are, is all about community. And have many people have noted over the years, and if you've talked to folks that have been around for any amount of time, they will talk to you about the quality of community that is Nevada City. And there's no question about that. However, like so many places over the last 5 years, 6 years and stuff, we've all been battered, we've been pushed on, we've been beaten. I think some of the notions of what community is have been frayed around the edges. So one of my real interests in my term as mayor is how we begin to tighten that up, how we begin to weave that fabric a little tighter to become the really unique community we are, with all of the voices and making room for every voice in our community. So that's what I'm here about, and I'm going to speak just a bit about what that really looks like. I'll talk about this more in a moment, but we did declare the year of the neighborhood. And it's neighborhoods are where we end up landing, and it's going to be the last stop on whether you can actually function with people or not, happens in your neighborhood, with your neighbors, with what goes on. And neighborhoods are the fabric of community and how we connect. And we know this to particularly be true around the Firewise communities and the work that we're doing there. But what we did, this is, I think, says it all, is that we recognize the 12 months. We encourage all residents and stakeholders to unite and strengthen our neighborhoods to enhance public health, safety, and quality of life. And that's why I didn't just leave it at fire, where we're doing a lot of specific work, but the strength of a community is measured by the strength of its neighborhoods and how we work together. And part of my conversation with you is the role that art plays in that. But we are focused on Firewise communities. We are in a significant deficit, I believe, for the preparedness and the way we need to be ready for fire. Over the last year or so, or 2 years, our fire committee, Fire Safety Advisory Committee, has been active for several years. Aaron Minette set that up, and a lot of people have gone through that. But it wasn't until we realigned the administration of our city and did a strategic plan and began to identify community-driven priorities that we could take action on, and fire just went straight to the top of the list. So I got involved with that committee a year and a half or so ago. We did some really great work. We began to develop critical planning documents to look at our future, and then we're able to use those to articulate need, and the citizens of Nevada City stepped up with Measure C and funded this effort to educate and inform. We also, along the way, and this is really rather wonderful, let's see, no, let's go back here. Right back here. The governor's office, the governor of California does a lot of things, but he has his own little office of planning and development. It's like his own think tank. And they gave us a $250,000 grant that we got through some grant people that we work with in the city for the sole purpose of bringing our neighborhoods together around fire-wise thinking. When you're looking at 3,000 people, and you know, no money is what it used to be. I was a former public works director where I used to say $1 million ain't what it used to be, and it's not. But that's a lot of money for us to begin to weave our community together and pull people together with Evan McClanathan and Camille, I'm not sure her last name.
No.
I know. Are the
Don't
team.
want to.
Okay, great, I'm gonna try it. Are working full-time on that, and we formed our own Office of Emergency Services. So it's interesting because the governor's office is looking at the volunteer and the neighborhood connection piece of it. As they explained, they gave a similar grant to Long Beach. Long Beach's content focus is sea level rise and climate change. Ours was fire prevention, but they have the way that they want the communities to work together. So we're full on in that, and that's why the Year of the Neighborhood, because we do have funding. There's already been a couple of meetings, and they're the kind of meetings you like to go to where people don't want to leave because people are meeting each other, neighborhoods are connecting, people are planning parties, all sorts of things going on around the neighborhoods. That is precisely what we need to do, because particularly when it comes to fire, it's going to be from the ground up. We're working at two ways, top down, bottom up, and the bottom up. I do want to say we have a couple of very high-performing fire-wise communities with Deer Creek Southside and Champion Mine. There's been a few others, Build and Not Last. So we're really focused on developing the gaps and building out our entire community connected around this work. We also, through that, have been able to start some real programs around fuel management and doing the actual physical work that it takes to protect our city, but it really is going to come down to who we live with, how we know who to contact, who are the people that's going to need our help. But once you build out those communities and those neighborhoods, it's so much more than fire. It is about who we are together and the quality of the work that we do. And one of my other reasons for being here was to talk about the role of art in that, because art is, I'm so glad, it's one of the great things we did in the last year or so was form this commission. Art, you know, we've all been around Nevada City. How important is art to Nevada City? It's who we are. I mean, we're traditionally ranked in the top 100 of arts communities across the country, and yet, you know, we're happy to have the art, but what do we do to support that art and understand it not just as something that happens here because artists are here, but something that influences our community, influences our economics, and by taking it on like this, you know, we're supporting it and lifting it up in ways I think that are really critical. But it's also really critical in how it brings our community together, reduces isolation, makes us aware of the world around us. My mother was an artist, so I've always had art in my life, and I remember one time one of my public works employees said to me, "Man, you look at art all the time. Why do you do that?" I said, "Well, because it changes me." He said, "Why would you want that?" But it does. Art opens us up. It changes us. It influences. It makes us think, and it's really, really very, very powerful and critical to what we do. But it educates us about our past. It informs us about our future, and it says where we can go. As we work with fire in the neighborhoods, there's a real role of how we bring art into that conversation. And that was one of my other reasons for being here with you today, was to let you know that this work is happening, and it's really important how you step into it. And I'm going to do one of my things here that I do about my own reality check about how I think things really work. So we have these models that we use, and this work is from a guy named Parker Palmer, who is just a brilliant educator, wrote a lot about the spiritual nature of teaching in elementary schools. But he says we build these models, these hierarchical models, and in this case, you know, it's that we have an object, say like art, that's so esoteric that we need someone, an expert to translate it for us, and so that we can go down and that we can't adequately understand it until we have someone highly specialized to tell us what it means. So we build these models all the time. This is a model of that. This is a hierarchical organization. And they're important for getting some things done. But it's not necessarily the way that things really work. And particularly if you take art. Art is, everybody has an experience of it, and everybody's experience is legitimate. So we all know art in a single way. So you put art in the middle of that, and it doesn't matter if I'm the expert, it doesn't matter if I'm the mayor and you work at the communal cafe. We both have legitimate perspectives on what art is and how that matters. And those are the conversations we need to have so that they go like this, you know, less of this and more of this. Because this is where we need to get with our community. This is where we need to be on every subject that we have, that it's not just about a small group or a single individual. One of my, you know, so I did 50 years of local government working on this side of the table, and now I sit on that side of the table, which is really a different experience. But the idea that you could elect 5 people and that we could all be so all-knowing that we could make all these decisions for the community and get them right, doesn't work like that. It'll never work like that. We can pretend it works like that, but it doesn't really work like that. It works like this. And these are the conversations that we need to have, and I hope to have more of them, and I want to have more of them with you and all of you. And this is where I think we're going to go in the next year. And there's no doubt that it is always a small group of people that change everything. So that's my message. I look forward to working with you all. And again, I thank you. Thank you a lot. It takes all of us to do this. And like I said, we give up our lives, parts of our lives, but it's we care, and that's all it takes. So thank you. If you got any questions, be happy to answer. Thoughts, I guess.
I like the generic color splotches.
I know.
They might look like your name tags.
I was thinking, I saw that earlier, I said, I have a slide like that. So
Thank you.
yep.
I have a question.
Commissioners.
Mayor Peterson, thank you for your lovely presentation and the sentiments behind it. Did you have anything specific in mind when you're thinking about how to have the arts help serve your messaging, or conversely, how to support artists serve that messaging? Is there anything that you're thinking specifically of? I have a ton of ideas for you.
Well, I came to you for your ideas. I know that art, we communicate with art. And what we're doing is really a lot of heavy communication, particularly around the educational pieces, but also about how we connect with each other. And art serves that. So I imagine art as a communications tool, which is very non-specific for you. But we are open to those ideas and want to think about how to use art in the best possible way.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, for centuries, art has been used as a tool for communication where other things have failed. Nevada County Arts Council is just coming out of 2 years, at the end of September, we'll have completed 2 years of programming across 19 counties. 1/3 of our grantees have created projects that educate communities about fire, whether it's disaster preparedness or how to respond to wildfire, catastrophic wildfire, and prepare for it, across many different genres. And of course, we had our big forest fire project that ended at the end of 2022 in Truckee. So perhaps we could follow up with a meeting with some of our staff and share some super.
And I imagine something like the dark sky. You know, there's so many ways to approach this. But the only thing I'm really certain about is that art has a major role to play in it.
Wonderful. We like that, don't we? Do any of the other commissioners have any questions or any input they'd like to give?
Okay?
Thank you very much.
Bring
And
something back in the future. We'll work with Evan McClenathan. If you haven't met him, he's our Community Risk Reduction Officer, just runs our Office of Emergency Services along with Camille. We could have him do a presentation on what the Neighbor to Neighbor grant is and what it's about and how we're utilizing it. The mayor noted that Long Beach got it. Everybody else that got that grant is like big cities, like 500,000 or more.
Yeah.
And so we're the one little tiny place in, Northern, and there was only 7 grant awards in the whole state. We put together a good package, but we could have Evan come and present on what that is, and then you could have a discussion with him of that intersection of art and, fire safety.
He definitely has some thoughts on that, and I'm working those folks in Sacramento hard. We're going to get them up here. They like
They're
what
all
we're doing.
super geniuses.
Thank you
They're
very-
interesting people. So thank you very much.
please
Appreciate it.
take a cookie before you leave and pass them around.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. The next item that we have on the agenda is, I'm going to be asking our city manager to present this. It's consideration of a Painted Pianos temporary public art program proposal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We've been graciously offered a donation of 2 working upright pianos, and the 2 people that want to donate them, I happen to know, and that's how we got to that point. They both want to donate them in hopes that we would put them somewhere so people could play them. And so, I think I've shared with you that I'm not an artist, but I'm an artist enabler. A painted piano programs is an interesting intersection of visual arts and music. And so what we're here tonight is to pitch to you a framework for this program. So you don't have to make any detailed decisions tonight, but if you recommend the program, it would go to the council on August 28th, and my expectation is that they would vote to approve the program and return it right back to you to develop and implement it. And so the way I outline the staff report is much the same way as I would like any other program that might come to you. If you don't like the format of the, why, when, how, where, that kind of thing, we can always change that. But it's, everyone knows those W's. So conceptually, have you ever seen a painted piano program anywhere where they place them out in public? So Nakia says no. Cool.
Tell me.
Yeah. So fundamentally, it's literally taking pianos, putting them out in public, letting people play on them, but also using the piano as a canvas for artists to be able to paint. And it's a recurring annual kind of event. So they get a new skin, a new paint every year. So the why in this case would be, it's aligned with our Vibrancy Strategic Initiative, bring music to inspire the public through means of impromptu public performance, provide artists a new and exciting platform to share their painting talent in a location highly visible to the community. And the part that I really like is create collaboration between visual and performing arts. So it's, we do that a lot better in this community than most communities. When you see things like what Sarah Coleman painted on the inside of the Nevada Theater and that kind of intersection of performance and static art, but something that we don't curate in the city. It just happens because we have amazing, talented people all around us. The where would be any public location, and we could, with your recommendation, engage private property owners to do the same. But conceptually, the first couple of pianos would go temporarily in Robinson Plaza in front of the Chamber of Commerce, and then one on Commercial Street, probably in the bulb out of the sidewalk in front of the pizza joint. It's kind of the widest piece of the sidewalk there at the crosswalk. If you've ever been around places that have these, people will just walk up and sit down and start playing the piano. Some of them good, some of them not so good. These would be the concept, and again, you could change almost any of this, right? It probably is not going to be, died drums, or I don't know, some other, alliterative statement, but you really can change almost any of the content. But in concept, we'd put these out through the summer months, through the warm months, painted, and then we would rotate them through the different spots that they would be in if we had 5, 6 spots throughout town. And then they'd come in for the winter months, and then we would, through all of you, do a call to artists and have an opportunity for them to paint them probably in the month of May. And then they'd go out for June, July, August, September, get rotated through the spots, again, come back inside, get a whole new paint job on them, pay the artists to do that work. So that's kind of the concept of how that would work. The what of the painting, 2 things. One, you could just do it the way I said it. You could also do, and there are some places that do this, is the live painting experience. So they put the piano out there, and it's, there's a tarp underneath it, and the artist will paint while the piano is available for playing most of the time. So that's a different kind of artist that would do that. Maybe the same, but some might want to do that, some might not want to do that at all. Certainly be something that you could consider. The what, I would definitely encourage that you would consider themes when you're engaging the artists. We put some examples in there: period art of Nevada City and Nevada County, regional prehistory art, including Nisenan art, nature, natural elements of the region. Those are just examples. They could be, anything, right? It could be dark skies. It could be, no theme other than you can't be this or this. Lots of opportunity there. We did have an example in the packet of a painted piano. I think that one's from Fort Collins, Colorado. There's a number of places that have it. Not a ton in California. There should be more, but there's not. They tend to be, unfortunately, in like affluent communities where they're not actually played that much, and not really that engaging. They come out every year and they look cool, kind of like the places that do the umbrellas, in the open air spaces, but they're just for taking photos more than they are for, real artistic environment. So I would love it if you thought it was a good idea. I'd love it if there was more here. So since summer will come to an end soon, if we did get this to the council, they approved it, it comes back to you, likely what we would do is try to get these pianos and put them out in a couple of places for like a week in Robinson Plaza, a week over on Commercial Street, a week in front of City Hall where we have the fruit stand, and have like a sign saying, the Public Arts Commission is, working on this painted pianos program, and we'll have a QR code and a link to our website on there, and say, if you'd like more information, or if you want to share with us where you think they should go, or ideas about art on the pianos, fill out our survey. And then as we head into winter, we take the pianos and put them in storage, but then you could use that information to build what you'll release in the late winter to call on artists who, paint them in the spring before they come out next year. Again, you don't have to do that. You could come up with something totally different, but that might be a good opportunity to see if people use them and where they might fit and where they might not, and also let our Public Works team tell me what they're going to need to move pianos around. So, because we're going to have to buy them something to, be able to make it travel. So with that, love to hear your ideas on the program, how it could be made better. I'd ask that you recommend something to the council for them to approve to send back to you. But what that something is, totally up to you.
Thank you very much. And do any of the commissioners have questions, not input at this point, but just a question
I have questions.
of the city manager?
Do they stay out 24 hours or, okay.
Would they be locked at night so they're not getting played at like 1, 2 a.m. kind of thing?
Some places do that, some places don't. There's always the possibility that somebody does damage to them, that kind of thing, although it tends to be not as common as you'd think. I mean, even I like to think that we're a little bit different than Grass Valley, but if you go down to the Brunswick Basin and go over to where Thrifty's is and things like that, there are things that are left out overnight in front of the shopping center. Generally, people tend to leave them alone, but somebody will do something to them at some point, but that's just something we'll have to deal with.
Nikaya?
Mira.
Let's go first.
Go for it.
I'm just curious if there's like a maintenance plan for like tuning when they're out for months at a time.
Yeah, so
For the heat and-
pretty normally on these, they would get painted, they would get tuned, they would get put out, and then we would probably check the tuning every time we moved them, you know, just
Or you
play
can-
them, and then when they come back, they're gonna sit for a while, and then they get repainted and they get retuned to get put out.
Would you consider like installing some kind of humidity controller inside the piano, like a damp, what, I'm forgetting what those are called.
I
Damp
consider
chaser.
anything, I don't,
Yeah.
That, well,
Okay.
we can talk about that when we get to the discussion part. Okay.
Now I'm blanking.
Now you
My
forgot.
question was, it was along those, I mean, the impact's going to be to the people around the piano. Whoever's around, do they get input on it? Like if it's a business right there, will they have a say in that?
yeah,
if
we
they
wouldn't
want
want to do it in a place where somebody didn't want it. That's why we own the Chamber of Commerce building, so,
Uh-huh.
and they're our partner in, you know, all things economic development, and they would love to do that. You know, I would think that the folks on Commercial Street would be open to it, maybe not. But yeah, we would definitely want to be a partnership with the community, not a fight. And they're not that loud.
Depends on
A
who's
piano
playing
in
it.
open space without amplification
Yeah.
is not that loud. I mean, so we have people that busk in town all the time. Sometimes I'm here sometimes late at night, 7, 8 o'clock at night, and there's, you know, people come play mostly saxophone and trumpet right in our alcove, and it's really loud right in the alcove. But when they go out into the street, it's not very loud.
Okay.
Any other questions before I open it up to public comment?
Yeah,
Is there
just,
anybody? Okay, Liza?
just a really quick one. Sean, might City of Grass Valley might also sort of tag along with this idea, and then it could be a sort of Grass Valley, Nevada City Cultural District thing that we could celebrate.
I don't like
Just a
Grass
thought.
Valley. Heather knows that I went to school in Grass Valley schools my entire life. You know, I'm from Nevada City.
Oh, man.
So we'll open it up for public
Well,
comment.
what's your answer?
I mean, those are always possibilities, you know, collaboration with other places is great. I mean, just like we did with Dark Skies. But what I wouldn't want, to be honest, is to not be able to move forward with art projects for that. And so, you know, it's like, let's do it. And then if they can collaborate with us or show us a better way to do it and we just adopt what they do, that's great, you know. So.
Great.
Do we have one more question? Are there any models from places where like how successful it's been or what the feedback is from?
Yeah, almost
Like-
almost everywhere that does it as a trial their first year, and then it almost always comes back. And Fort Collins is Colorado. It's like snow, you know, and hot winters or hot summers. They happen to be humid as well in the summer, so they have different kind of challenges. We don't have that challenge here. There's a couple of places that have one piano. Walnut Creek in Contra Costa County is the only place that relatively local to here that does summer session just like this. They put them out on sidewalks and that kind of thing. But they're more of a physical art piece than they are, you know, an engagement of music. Which, if that's what is right for this community, that's great. I would like to see the music part activated as well, but that's, you know, up to what you think is best for the community.
So one of our 3 members of the public get up and leave, so I'll ask, is there anybody from the public that would like to comment at this time? Seeing nobody coming forward, we'll return it to the table, and now we can have our discussion of how we feel and what comments we want to pass on to the city council about this.
Enthusiastic,
I have a real
yes.
quick question, though. This commission is looking at it from the public arts part, right? It's not this commission's job to be looking at whether where it's going to be precisely that it's going to bother a business or it's not. That would be the council's.
I mean, I think
Right.
that's all fair game. I mean, you certainly don't have to be concerned with that. At the same time, I would, I think your input on where it would be and how it might you know,
Make
engage certain spaces better than
recommendations.
others, I think would be helpful.
Make recommendations, but not get into the real nitty-gritty details, which would be up to the city council.
Well, and I anticipate we'll bring this to the city council again as a framework, and they're going to say, we love it, go back to the Public Arts Commission, work out the details and make it happen. So they'll give me that mandate, and then we'll just be able to go. So as long as it's not unsafe or illegal, whatever you come up with is what we'll, you know, put out on the street kind of thing.
Okay. So, anyone raise your hand and I'll call, no? But Shannon?
Enthusiastic, yes, again. Yeah, I love this. When I lived in San Francisco, they would do something like this every year. They had them in like the botanical gardens and places that were locked at night, so that probably was helpful.
Yeah.
But they would do like, you know, kind of like concert series too, where they would invite pianists to come when they would launch it every summer, and it was just an awesome free resource. Half Moon Bay puts them out on the bluffs on the coast, and like people will film themselves playing. I just think it's a really great thing, and even Winters has a
They do.
piano. Yeah.
Yep, they have one.
They have one piano.
And
that
it
I
happens to be
play.
donated by one of the people that is going to donate one to us.
Oh, cool.
So longstanding community
And
member.
it's like, I have played that piano probably 10 years ago, and I like remember the experience of playing it. And it's not because you have like an audience, it's because it's just a cool, unique, fun thing that like plants you in a place, which is nice. So now I'm like, oh yeah, Winters. Like I don't think of Winters very much. So yeah, I just think it's a really cool idea, and we shouldn't be too afraid of people banging on it. We should just like let it fly and then see if people bang on it later.
Thank you. Anyone?
Actually, this is a question, again, just in terms of logistics. So the piano stays out 24 hours, but is there a bench or a stool, and is that just get chained to the piano? How does that work?
In most of the ones, it just is slid in and out the piano and it just sits there.
Stays there?
So we certainly could, you know, experiment with that. We could, for the chamber, we could just have it taken into the chamber building every night for council, or for in front of City Hall. Same kind of thing, you know, in all three of those cases on Commercial Street, in front of the chamber and at City Hall, they're all under cameras. That doesn't mean that people can't do something to them, it's just more likely that we would see who did it or when it happened. Yeah, I assume that we're gonna have some damage to a piano and something like this, and, you know, if that's a big concern to all of you, I completely understand, and I'd love to hear more. At the same time, I would not want that to get in the way of doing something to try.
Jonas?
I'm 100% down for it. I think we should just go. It sounds awesome.
Okay. Mira or Liza, any feedback, or you're fine? Good with it? I've just, well, the same concern that's been expressed, which would be vandalism, but we kind of understand that could happen, but there are cameras, depending on what kind of bench. If it's one of the ones that goes with a piano like that, and it's got the claw feet, I'd definitely tie it down somehow. If it doesn't, you know, if it's two boards sitting on some beer crates, okay, you know. But the other question would be, are there any kind of overhangs, or is it City Hall that would protect it from, you know, the freak rainstorms we get throughout the summer, that we hope we get throughout the summer? Or maybe the paint could be some kind of a waterproofing paint or a coat over it or something. So I'm not sure if it's this style, any kind of a piano that's gonna like being rained on.
Usually the paints are oil-based paints that people use on these, and once they're dry, they're pretty durable to that kind of environment. The sun actually is more, you know, problematic in the summer than the rain would be. Some places do covers, you know, have covers for them that, you know, if they know a storm's coming, that kind of thing, and, you know.
Other than that, I think cool. I guess we as a commission would maybe pick a theme that the artist would, that if I read your proposal correctly,
Yeah.
that the artist would, maybe this one that's going to be here would be this theme, and the one over here, and then they get switched around. So we should all start thinking of piano themes.
Yes, and when
or
it comes back to you,
something.
and it can be themes, it can be, themes as concepts. You say, hey, these are things that we like, but you can propose anything you want. There's lots of options with that, and, and you'll have time on this one because it won't be until next year that we'll actually get them painted. But we'd like to
Right.
get them out, for the
And time
plain
flies
part.
by really quick.
Yes,
By
it
the
does.
time we
And
think of some
Golden
themes.
Shoulders live from Robinson Plaza on the piano.
Totally.
So-
It'd be great for
Lead
the
singer said
farmer's
yes.
market too. Like they're booking bands anyways who have to haul their stuff out there. Just throw someone on the piano, I think.
So I guess we would be looking to the commission for a motion and a second to pass it on to the city council at this point.
I'd appreciate that.
A motion? I have a
motion.
motion here.
I second that.
I have a motion and a second. Could we get a roll call, please?
Yes, Commissioner Arianis,
Aye.
Commissioner Schwartz. Commissioner Harney,
Aye.
Commissioner Clark,
Aye.
Commissioner Tudor,
Aye.
Vice Chair Negrete,
Yes.
Chair Wilcox Barnes.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right. Thank you very much. That's kind of exciting.
Yeah.
I'm excited that you even liked it.
I love it.
Might take
It's
fun. Something to work on through the winter too, for us to start to get into. So the next item is going to be the city manager again presenting the consideration of a city hall art meets the public champ gallery proposal.
So this is similar but different. This can start sooner. You can come up with another acronym if you want, but there's not a lot of words that, can have city hall and art in them. So this is just an example. So, we would call it the Champ Gallery here at City Hall. You had a presentation from the Arts Council of what they do for art and public spaces with the county, and I think that's an amazing program. There's some limitations there that we might not have here that we can go over through this, but we also don't have the scale or scope that they do there. Similar to the painted pianos, this is a framework, recommendation to the council. They approve it, comes back to you to implement, but we have a lot more. We'd be able to do something quickly. I would hope we could do something by like November to, start getting art out there. So, there's the why, obviously we know why, but to get art out here, but where would be here at City Hall. There's at least 4 walls. There's more space, but 4 walls, at least 160 square feet of total hanging space, plus about 60 square feet or 240 cubic feet of suspended space through both sets of double doors. It's vaulted up to the second story there. So we would put T-bar across there, and so you could suspend art. It would either need to be art intended to be viewed from below or suspended at, an angle to be able to see, but it would be a unique opportunity as opposed to the rest of it would essentially be flat work, anything from photographs to poems to, drawings to paintings, that kind of thing. We would, like I said, we'd intend to put the wires up, and we'd intend to put up hanging implements on the walls so that they could be put up the right way. We would have some interval, whether it was, I put in there triennial, because it both means 3 times a year and once every 3 years, just like biannual means once every 2 years and twice a year. But however, what your recommendation would be, we'd try to work on that, but some kind of interval where we exchanged things, and we wouldn't necessarily have to exchange everything all at the same time. Depending on what themes you picked, you might have something that was only up for a short amount of time. If it was like youth art from the school district, and then that might change to something else quickly, whereas other things might be more of a gallery, environment where it's there for 3 or 4 months for somebody. Themes here would probably be more significant, so that you could kind of curate what might be out there at any given time. As well as the artist. We didn't talk about that much with the painted pianos, but that would be part of your selection process. This here Because of our size and the turnaround time, it's likely that this would be art, most of the proposals will be art that's already existing, that they've already created. Wouldn't have to be, but it's just more likely. We would, just for sake of discussion tonight, I put in there that artists working or residing in Nevada City, Nevada County, adjoining rural foothill communities of Placer, Yuba, and Sierra counties would be given priority. That doesn't have to be those ones, but I think it would be good to have some kind of priority. The space would be free. On the Painted Pianos program, my inclination would be that we would pay the people for their art, because they, we'd have to come up with what's reasonable. Is it 40 hours to paint a piano, and is it $50 an hour? So we're paying people, to, that amount to do each piano. Whereas here, it's more of an opportunity to show. The difference between us and the county would be, with the council's permission, that they could be for sale here. So we wouldn't be engaged in the sale part, but we'd have information about the artists and how they could visit their website or purchase the items or things like that. So just a different, opportunity for the artists. And I understand not every artist would want to show here, and certainly not every artist would want to give up their art piece for 3 or 4 months here. But, if they were willing to, at least they could, have it for sale. That's basically the pitch for here. Go to the council, get their permission, come back. But in this case, when we come back to you next month on this one, we could be talking about timing and themes, and, you'll probably have a million ideas, and I'll never shoot down, well, I shouldn't say never. I don't want to shoot down your ideas. At the same time, it'd be good to just get one out there and start, right? So it's like, okay, we're going to do 4 walls of this kind of thing, and we're going to hang something up there. Let's get it out to our artists to see if anybody wants to do it. A little more detailed than that, but, and then we can work on future iterations, right? Because based on that, you say, okay, every 3 months, we'll start scheduling it out. And maybe you say, hey, by the front door, let's leave that blank, and let's work with the schools and get some youth art up there and do that a little different. Whatever it is that you come up with, we'll work through, yeah. So that's my, kind of my pitch on that one. If you want to come up with a better acronym, I'm in for that too.
Good acronym.
So, but I think it's good to name and to have ownership of something that's different than, Nevada City. NC doesn't work with anything. So, but you'll come up with something. There's always bonk. It's it's like they came up with it. It's like, how do we get bicycle in Nevada County? I don't know. That's all we got, bank or bonk. But they own it, so that's great. So same thing. Happy to answer any questions, and would love it if you'd recommend that the council approve it and bring it back to you.
Okay. Vice Chair.
Are you envisioning, I don't see it on here, but do you have are you envisioning that the curation would be the entire Arts Commission committee, or there would be some kind of outside curation? How would that be?
What do you mean by curation?
Well, the people submit, but not everything can be shown, right? So a body would be curating the work that would be up during any given period of time.
I'd be open to anything. You could certainly have a subcommittee, of 2 or 3 of you that was going to, look at the applications and decide, and then recommend to the full committee to what your selection was. That tends to work a little bit better, because, then you don't have to deliberate on the dais about, it's like, I like this one, but I know this other one too, but we'll see. And it might not be the first couple of times, maybe it's not relevant, because you might get just as many, you have as many spots as you have applicants.
But a committee
Yeah,
with
because-
2 or 3, you can't have 4, because there'd be a quorum of your commission.
Any other questions before we open it up to the public?
And then it's all outside of this space, not any of these walls. I think we talked about this before.
Right.
That's not accessible. So it's, when we leave and go outside, we should look at the walls between
Yep, so
there
it's
and the
out
front
the
door.
second set of double doors. I didn't include it, but we would for purposes, to the left-hand side on either side of the windows. There's this same kind of material that's on the walls in here. That space would be available, kind of like a banner. Also on either side of the double doors as you exit would be available. And then the principal four walls would be behind the e-bikes, on the other side of the e-bikes, and then further down and at the front door. We wouldn't want to put something on the wall where the map is next to the elevator or next to the men's bathroom, because then you're standing there looking at the art, but you're also looking at the bathroom.
Right.
So with the door open. Right,
Question.
Unless you come up with some cool integration of,
How to hide a men's
bathrooms with
bathroom. I just had a question about regular, there's foot traffic, people come in, whatever. I don't know what people are doing in this building besides what I'm doing here. But what's your thought? Do people have a lot of like parties in this building? Are you guys
Yeah.
hosting like punk shows like the library now?
Yeah, exactly.
Are
Yeah.
you down?
Yeah, so here's the reality. This is the most visited building in the city
Hey.
on Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
Why? Public restrooms.
Nice.
So, and events, right? We're open during parades and events and stuff like that because public restrooms and changing station for babies. And not that that's the draw that you would want, but we
People
already
are in
have people
here.
coming in here,
Yeah.
right? And so now if we advertise, it's like, hey, special event, we have booths anyway. Evan that we're talking about before on fire is out there doing OES. He could say, come view our
City
champ
Hall
gallery,
champs.
Yeah, it would take some time, I think, to kind of build that momentum. But yeah, there's a lot of people that walk in here on the daily and then to, deal with our staff as well, so.
Yeah, and I guess specifically, like, are you receptive to a reception? Like, are you receptive to the idea of having an opening thing, like a celebratory function? Does that
I
happen here?
am, yeah, I
Great.
mean, we allow people to rent the chambers. So like
Nice.
the Wild and Scenic Film Festival uses this for 3 days to do their artist workshops and things like that.
Cool.
Next week, Supervisor Heidi Hall is doing her town hall meeting here. So it's not just used for our specific, city purposes.
But if
But-
the new
The Arts
show,
Council's used it and they drink alcohol in here.
Oh, that was my question, because I didn't think that that's allowed in the city building.
so when, as a new showing was beginning to open, it would be an opening night.
If you,
down here,
I would
if the
love it if that
commission
was
wanted to
part of
do
your
that.
recommendation.
So,
And on that night, you could have things on the walls, right? They would just have to come down before the
there
next
are
meeting,
no,
yeah.
okay, then, well, you three in the audience, anybody have a question out there, a comment, anything? Sorry. Close it to the public comment then, and comments now, just general comments. Do I see a hand up?
You are putting in a wire hanging system for the art? That's what you're
That's
gonna
what we intend to do, so when we come
Okay.
back to you, would.
Okay, I have ideas about that.
Perfect. If you want to get it
I'll
to
save
me
them.
now, or I mean, like send me an email,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then when we come back, what I intended would we come back and say, here's kind of, there's only like 3 kind of principal options,
Mm-hmm.
for that, and then, but we're not going to know, so we'll take that input and do that.
Any other comments? I have,
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in hearing from the Arts Council how we could make this either like aligned or like distinctly different than the county's thing in terms of like periodicity or thematically. Like would just be interested in hearing like how we could change the flavor a little bit. Whether it's like a specific partner organization that we're highlighting and that's how we're bringing people in, but thinking about how we like really recruit and actively engage people, not just to participate, but also get their butts in the door. It should be something we think about, and you know all about that. So.
good comment. Any other? I have, just, you didn't mention it, but in your report, you had something about possibly an area in the alcove outside in the front of City Hall. And for now, my preference would be to keep it inside within the, to get started. And the way this was written, think that part would need to, the planning commission, it might not jive with our city ordinance as far as the lighting around the box and on this building. So I would like to see us just kind of focus on the interior for now.
So that's a future item, potential. It wouldn't be
Yeah.
part of what would go to council now. In the future, if it was approved to be the council, not the planning commission, that would speak to that, but, yeah.
It would be looking at the particulars on that. When they do it, I was thinking as you presented that, the bars across and stuff, when the cats had their stuff displayed at the Rood Center, that was a really good example. That just popped into my mind, the way they had the stuff displayed from up above.
Yeah.
So that would be a perfect type of a thing to have in that space. And then the other comment would be, I guess, since it's, 90 days, it would be rotating, building some time for one display to come down and the next to go up. The 3 times a year probably would work out pretty good. Not used to, I don't know anything about how long it takes to hang and put something up, but we would have to build into that schedule, so.
The 3 times a year comes from, I'm very familiar with, was involved in a similar kind of thing that was done in San Ramon. They do it in a number of spots in town, and one specifically at City Hall. They do rotate, on that basis. The artists there install their own work and take down their own work. They just provide the, implements to be able to hang it, and it goes, it comes down in a 2-day period, and it goes up over a 1-week period, and then you have the, essentially have 3 months and 2 weeks on either end of that, that makes,
So
gets
that-
you to 4-month cycles kind of thing. But it doesn't have to be that. It can be whatever you think is best, or you say it's crazy to, give them a week to take down or put up, or we're open to anything that
Well, it
works,
makes-
because you'll know what the artists, will need to make that work.
Makes sense, because it can't be up more than 90 days, correct?
It can be up as long as we would like. It is temporary art, but it's not outside in the, on, open in the right of way or anything like
It's
that,
in
so.
historical, okay, so that part of the
Yeah,
ordinance.
that arts ordinance doesn't, we.
Inside does not apply.
Right, like, we can't say you can't have an art gallery in the historical district.
Okay. I'm all for it. The only other thing is a lot of times the door is closed, and so then that would mean opening up that part, right?
Which part?
The door that,
It wouldn't include the alcove, so
so it
past the
wouldn't, where
second set of
Bob
double
Kraft's
doors.
stuff is right now would not be.
All of where Bob Kraft stuff would be included.
Okay. All right.
And I love Bob, but,
Well, it's been
not
up
the
there
only
a
thing
while,
that we could
and
put up,
it's, yeah. Okay.
So can we
with-
talk some more about this? Like, I'm hearing ideas and suggestions, but not a lot of, or sort of like questions and suggestions, but not a lot of, like, really making recommendations on how it might work, like somebody to curate the displays, like, any recommendations or ideas around that? Like, should we have it at the meetings on a set schedule? Are we thinking that the commission reviews? How do we receive applications? Because I know that the work that the Arts Council does for the county is probably in-depth, but I'm just kind of curious of what your all ideas are as commissioners. What do you think about that, Sean?
I think that's great. Also, if you don't have that instantaneously on the spot, you could think about that, because it'll come back to you at your next meeting. But that will be really important of how, if we're gonna get art out there relatively quickly, how we do it will be important. So if you think about that, and you could send ideas, but also be prepared at the next meeting to, kind of share on all those points. And we might send something out before that
Sure.
meeting with, like, here's some things that we're definitely gonna need your input on. And maybe we'll work with Eliza on, what are those things we're not thinking about today that they've experienced up at the
So
Root
if-
Center.
If we tonight recommend to the city council, and then once we know the city council says, yes, we like that idea, then we would tell the commissioners to start sending in some ideas, and at our September meeting, be prepared to discuss it and kind of what we think is important to have in it, and maybe our first theme we come up with, because we'd
That'd be
be
great.
rolling into the fall or possibly the holidays. So,
I think it could be really cool to have, kind of like a rotating cast of participants too, to expand the reach of partners who are engaged, and having it along the lines of some of the like strategic priorities and key themes that the city is trying to amplify already. So whether that's preparedness or harm reduction or restoration, whatever it is, and like tapping orgs that are engaged in that work to be like, hey, we want to do these, like this big picture thing, call in artists, and would you guys sit on the curation committee for our third trimester 2024, whatever.
Awesome.
I think that could, I'm just thinking, it's a new space, it's kind of obscure, and the more people we can have touching the process, I think it's gonna make it more successful.
Love that. And all of you are parts of other groups too, so, we get those other groups, we get all of you, and then pretty quickly it's, cool, let's go do this thing. And to your point, I loved that idea, if the rest of the commission doesn't, but opening night and having an event and celebrating stuff, and, those are all, because then people come to that, right? And then even if they
Right.
just trickle in on the others,
People love to go into public spaces when they don't think they're supposed to, too. They love to be like, whoa, and I think it's such a cool, it's like breaking the fourth wall. I think we should be doing it as much as possible.
In terms of social media, do you know if any of the other public art commissions have some type of, if there's a public art social media page? I know that the city of Nevada City has shared the Dark Sky. I think the city shared the mural approval. But is there a possibility for there being Nevada City Public Art Facebook page or Instagram page or something that is more is happening, that it can be focused really on Nevada City Public Art as the place to go to get that all in one
we're
place?
kind of limited on that, the way rules work about what the government publishes and doesn't. The normal practice for places is to limit it to the city and the police department, having their own, is what we currently have. Our new website is, Lisa's been working furiously on our new website. It's gonna soft launch next week. Nobody will know unless they go to our website. They'll just be like, oh, it looks cooler now. But we'll keep refining the content. There will be a public arts page, for the Public Arts Commission as a subpage of that. And we'll definitely be doing, all of this in a more robust fashion with social media. But I would say, let us do that, let us get some things out, and then if we get to the point where that's not enough, then we could look at, other options, or whether we leverage our partners in that, the reach of the chamber and the Arts Council
Right.
are significantly more than the city.
Or it could be just a sort of anonymous individual that isn't the
Oh,
city.
absolutely.
That's just focusing on, look at
Yep.
the art that's happening in Nevada City, and it's not directly a city page.
Absolutely, and sometimes you see that where it's the people that are managing that page happen to be, the city and commissioners and, someone from the chamber, and so that they can just feed all the stuff
Right.
in. So we'd be open to any of that, and we wouldn't be able to make a page tomorrow.
Right.
so do we have a motion and a second to pass this idea along to the city council.
I motion to pass this idea on to the city council.
I'll second.
We got tie for a second. You can pick.
Which one?
Celine.
Okay.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Could we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Arianis.
Aye.
Commissioner Schwartz.
Yes.
Commissioner Harney.
Aye.
Commissioner Clark.
Aye.
Commissioner Tudor.
Aye.
Commissioner Negrete.
Yes.
Chair Wilcox Barnes.
Aye. Oh,
Thank you.
to hear back from the city council on a couple of items then, and then we'll have to get to work right away.
Yes.
Especially on this one, maybe not so fast on the painted pianos, but, all right, thank you. So we're at that point in our agenda where we have our commissioner and staff liaison reports, and I'm going to already ask the vice mayor to read us something, but I'm going to ask, are you the liaison to, I know your committee kind of created this commission, correct?
Yeah.
Do you have a report or anything you'd like to report on tonight? You're so good to come to all of our meetings. I want to give you an opportunity to.
There's a good concert happening on the porch of the parsonage immediately after this meeting, or maybe right now.
34 minutes.
Okay, we're trying to get there.
Other than that, I have nothing prepared.
Okay, but you're always welcome during this time on our agenda to bring something to this commission. Thank you. City manager or?
The things that we have potentially pending for your next agenda, just so you know, as you're giving your reports, if you wanted to, call anything else out, is we're gonna have a presentation from the Nevada County Youth Commission. They just resat their new youth commissioners, which includes some of returning members. 49er Rotary Art Competition might be back to you. A discussion on future setting or, what this commission wants to do. You got a little bit of, air under your sails now, and, what do you want to be about? What do you want to be working on as you move towards, your first year here? And then we'll bring back to you from the council the painted pianos and Champ Gallery, but more towards the Champ Gallery, and just let you know where we're at with the pianos and see if you have any thoughts on that. And I don't think there was anything else so far, but doesn't mean all of that will be in there, but as you're thinking about what other items you might want. That's all I have.
Lisa, anything from you for the?
For the Onyx, we did put it in the newsletter. And I think that as things come up, as far as projects that you review and things that end up being in the implementation phase, highlighting the Public Arts Commission on social media is definitely possible. And that's just on our standard page, Facebook and Instagram. So I can help make sure those posts go out as things come along.
Anyone on the commission have a report or anything they'd like to bring up?
Can I ask a question? How's it going with our lovely name plaques? Have we had any?
We gave up.
We gave up, okay.
Obviously.
You said that you had somebody that wants to do it.
They haven't submitted yet. I sent it to somebody.
The mayor must have liked it, he copied them.
Did he reach out to you at all?
I'll just say, just make me something. And if we hate it, then we'll just buy something.
Well, I think the mayor must have liked it, he copied them.
Tells you where we got the background from. No, if any of you have any suggestions, we're at the point basically where if we knew of an artist that wanted to try it, we'd be happy to pay him and do something. And if you all love it, great. And if you don't, we'll do new ones, Or you could say, we don't want to do it. That's okay too. It doesn't have to be a signature project. I'm not gonna buy this for you. It would kill me to, maybe the wood part, but not the plastic part.
Any other? I have something. And I would like to give a shout out to Miriam Morris. She was came and presented to us at our May commission meeting an idea to put tile work around the planter boxes in the Seven Hills area, and she's been working, and I can't violate the Brown Act by passing a collage of what's happening out, but I can leave a pile sitting on a chair out there. I'd like to encourage everybody to go by and see how they're turning out. They're really cool. Then she's starting on the second planter box next week. So one is completed. You've probably seen them, but they're really, go by and take a look. They're really, I think, a very nice enhancement to that area. And a number of people participated in creating the tiles, and Adam's got one on there. I know Lucisi has one on there. So they're really cool. So go on by, and that's what I'd like to
And the
report
city's
out.
Facebook and Instagram accounts, if you're not going to drive by tonight, check out the first one.
So, yeah. Yeah.
They're beautiful. It's
And-
beautiful, the one that's there.
And the chair brought up that maybe there's some issue that is going to create conflict with parking, so if you could let me know which one that is, send me an email, we'll
Yeah.
look into that. Thank you for that, I appreciate it.
Right. And if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn so people can go up the hill.
Can I just do my routine homeland return update for the tribe?
Yes.
So the fundraiser is going really well. A huge thank you to the community. They're still working towards their $2.4 million goal. They've just passed $2.3 million. Escrow was extended on the Woolman property, so they're hoping to close by the end of this month if nothing else comes up. And there's a wonderful art fundraiser in support of Homeland Return. You can find that at chirpca.org under the Homeland Return tab. And I also want to say that there's a general CHIRP fundraiser at Center for the Arts at the end of this month on August 24th. And it's going to be musical performances by Dirtwire and local artist Brightside Blue and Honey of the Heart. Tickets you can get through Center for the Arts. So please come out, support that, listen to some great music. Yeah.
I have one more thing to say. I'm hearing from Sean, we've got wind under our sails, and I love that. And I think I would offer to this group that, like, everything is a remix, and any research we can do on our own time to see what other public arts commissions are doing in other jurisdictions, like, it sounds to me like World is our oyster energy, and rather than like solicit a presentation from Truckee or something like that, we could just probably pitch our own stuff too. So I'd be curious to, I think we'll make the most traction on things that we are personally invested in. So I'd just love to support initiatives that you guys all have interest in too.
Thanks, Shannon. Yeah.
Anything else? Okay, I had asked Sean if we could kind of have a 6-month talk about, what we first said when we got on the commission and what it's changing and what we see kind of developing as this commission. So appreciate that you will be agendizing that next month. And if y'all think about where we started, where we're going, that'd be great. And if there's nothing else, a motion for adjournment? Anyone, or we want to sit here? I'm fine.
On the chair.
We can sit here a while longer. Anybody got anything?
Make a motion that we adjourn.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. I don't think we need a roll call vote. All those
Thank
in
you.
favor? Aye. We're adjourned.
Jonas, hey.